going on, guys, and welcome back to Upper Left RC. Today we're working on upgrades for the Chevy C10. Actually, I think it's a K10. Somebody corrected me in the comments and said the four-wheel drive's a K10. I don't know. It's a Chevy. It's got a sweet looking body, and we're going to put some upgrades on it. I think today we're going to start with the Furitek upgrades. It's already got a couple other ones here and there, like a carbon fiber chassis, etc. But these are the upgrades we're installing. The Furitek aluminum CNC motor mount, the Micro Komodo by Furitek, and we're going to be installing the Furitek Lizard for brushed and brushless motor. So this is what we're starting with so far. It's got a couple upgrades, as you can see. I'll go over them here in a minute, but first we got to get that sweet B-roll. And if you're wondering how I get such smooth, crisp, awesome shots of this thing, another RC, of course. This thing works great for spinning that thing at a perfect speed. Hope you guys enjoy the footage. So to start, we got the carbon fiber chassis rail weights, creeper tires, Trio wheels, Power Hobby shocks. We've got some hot racing links underneath. We've got a metal skid plate that's off-brands, some Trio drive shafts, some Trio axle weights. We also have a Emax servo. And of course the hot racing motor. You can see on this chassis rail here, I had to notch it out because the motor wouldn't quite fit. First things first, we're going to take the body off. It's always easier to work on these with the body removed. Second, we're going to remove the battery. This is a Power Hobby 450 milliamp hour 30C discharge battery. Gosh, I can't even talk. Then we're going to remove the battery tray. Now we have access to get to the motor, and I thought this would be pretty simple. I could just pop the motor out, pop the new one in, but it doesn't look like it. We're going to take these two bolts on the skid plate off. There's one on top, and remove it. Now we've got the motor, the transmission, and the drive shafts all in one piece. We're going to take this thing apart, disassemble it, take a look at what we got. So we've got the spur gear here. It's made out of plastic. I wanted to replace this with the hot racing metal one, but the hot racing metal one, as you can see here, is a little bit too small of a tooth count. The gaps between the gears don't mesh up with the hot racing motor, and I don't think they're going to mesh up with the Furitek one either. Next, we're going to remove the transmission from the motor mount plate and move that to the side. We don't need this brush motor anymore. We'll use it for something else. Here's the Furitek motor mount. We're going to mount this to the transmission. It bolts up just like this. Then I put the original plastic spur gear back in there and attach the carbon fiber cover. Matches the carbon fiber chassis rails. Great. Now that we've got it all assembled, we just got to simply slide it back into the truck. And we hit a problem. So I wasn't paying attention, and it turns out the way this transmission mounts is the other way around, which means the motor is hitting the ESC, and that sucks. Because of the way the holes are lined up on the transmission and on the motor mount plate, we can't attach it backwards without flipping the plate. So that's what we're going to do. Let's disassemble all these screws, take the motor mount plate out, flip it around, and pop it back in, and we should be good to go. Some of you might already know what's coming up next, but of course, the transmission fits perfectly. Then I started running into the rest of the issues. So I got all the links hooked back up, and this is where I realize I made a mistake. Slide the transmission in, and the drive shafts are on the wrong sides. Simple fix, right guys? Flip them around. Duh, then we're good to go. How naive I was thinking this would be easy. As it turns out, when you flip the drive shafts around, they are at different lengths and positions from when they are when the motor mount plate is the right way around. So this rear drive shaft is in the correct spot, but it's too long to be positioned this way. When I move the suspension up and down, it's physically moving the entire motor mount up and down on the plate. It doesn't fit, it's too long. I would have no suspension travel if I left it like that. Fortunately, I came up with a plan. I took this drive shaft piece, which is a little shorter and plastic, from my Jeep. It's the front drive shaft out of the Jeep, and I thought, hey, I can just swap this for the metal one, and we're good to go. As it turns out, the splines don't line up very well. I kind of got it to mash in there, and I thought it would work, but it didn't work great. We'll come back to that though. Now I got another problem. The battery tray. Clearly it doesn't fit. What was I thinking? So I got the motor in here backwards, on the motor plate backwards. The battery tray doesn't work. So I'm gonna take it all apart, flip it all back around, and take that ESC tray out. Who, let me know down in the comments, saw this coming? If you've done this conversion before, you probably knew right when you saw me starting, I was gonna mess this up. But that's okay, you live and you learn. Now I won't do it again. So here's some footage of me taking apart the entire thing, putting it back together, and then swapping the motor around to face towards the ESC tray. I then removed the ESC tray, checked all the fitment, everything looked good, I just had to get that ESC tray to fit now. So we cut it. Yes, I used a razor blade, cut a notch out of it, bolted it back in. I had plenty of clearance on the motor, but the old ESC won't fit. I'm sure I could have found a way to get it on there somehow, but I'd rather just swap it out for a Dumbo RC receiver that I know is going to work, and then I don't have to fiddle with it. So we got good clearance if I bolt it to the front just like that. Little hot glue, slam it in there, and we're good. We got clearance on the motor, we got clearance on the ESC, we've got battery tray back where it needs to be. All I got to do is get the Furitek Lizard plugged in, make sure it all works. Let's test it out. So I plugged the battery in here. It did work, but the steering was reversed, so I tinkered with it. But now you're getting footage of the first time I tried it out. And man, is this thing buttery smooth and awesome. You can go nice and slow if you want. It's still got plenty of speed. It's good forwards and backwards, and the steering works out great too, same as it always has. This thing is awesome. So here is after I buttoned it all up. I just velcroed down all the wires off to the side next to the battery. Let's test it out. First test we're going to run is the incline test. We're going to start at 40 degrees and see how it does. Obviously it did it with the brush motor if you saw a couple of my last videos. Now the Furitek one, and it goes up just fine. Let's step it up to 45 degrees. Alright, we finally got it set to 45 degrees, and let's give it a run. Makes it up just fine. Let's move to 50. You guessed it, it does 50 great too. 55. Now I believe this is where I stopped testing it in my last video, but it does make it up here. You can see it kind of teeters on those front wheels. 55 is pretty close to its max, or at least I thought it was, but it handled it well. Let's try 57. We'll start doing slow increments just because it looked like it was pretty close to its limit. Now we're at 57 degrees. The bumper does catch a little, but it finds a way to claw its way up there. That driver's side tire is a little bit off the ground, but it's working. Let's step up to 60. Now for the most part, this truck is stock other than weighted bolt-ons and this motor that I just installed. 60 degrees is a bit ambitious. Unfortunately, it can't quite do it. There was a lot of footage of me trying to get it to teeter on the edge, stay there as best I could, but I couldn't get it to stay. I'm not going to give up though. We're going to back it down to 59 degrees and see how it does there. So is 1 degree going to make the difference? Let's find out. Now I did have to help it a little bit here, but as you can see, ooh, it's on its edge. It can hold itself in ideal conditions at 59 degrees. It's not touching that rock back there. It is in fact just staying there, moving forward, but it doesn't have enough grip or weight to actually crawl up it very quickly or efficiently. So 59 degrees is officially its limit. Now let's do it on some rocks, just a little test to see how it does crawling in general. Here's some decent, not too slow, not too fast speed. And as you can see, it is a crawling champ for being still basically all stock geometry. Now here's where I wanted to show how you can get really, really slow control and capability out of these Furitek products. This thing is crawling so slow and so controlled. Now, this isn't necessarily what you're going to be doing all the time, but when you get to a really technical spot that needs a lot of control, this is how slow you can go. I even used my hand as a reference to show that this is not slowed down footage. This thing is in fact moving that slow. After filming for a while, I had a visitor, my cat Joker. Wanted to hang out and check out what the truck was doing. Kept getting close. I kept trying to scare her away just a little bit, but she loves the RC cars. Chases them around the house. Can't get enough of them. But she's only comfortable if it's on her terms. If you get too close, she will run. There you have it, guys, the Furitek Mini Komodo conversion. I think this is a great upgrade for any SCX24. It was a little bit of a hassle trying to get it installed just because I wasn't 100% sure how to do it right away, but I think it turned out great and I love the results. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link below to all the products I used on this build. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.